with a massive new Vladimir Guerrero Jr. update that dropped in the middle of the night by Hector Gomez, and it has fans absolutely fired up. We're going to break down that report as well as discuss many other new Toronto Blue Jays Vladimir Guerrero Jr. updates, as we are now just minutes, hours away from his decision. We also have a very interesting report from Keegan Matheson revealing some huge details surrounding today and Vladdy. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're part of the 71% who are subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. We'll keep you guys up to date with all the latest Jays news. So if you want to support me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support. Now, ladies and gentlemen, reports, it were pretty quiet late last night. We knew that yesterday was the deadline. Once it struck midnight, we were all eagerly waiting. We were all hoping that a decision was going to be made, and it was crickets. It was crickets throughout the entire night from 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then a report drops in the middle of the night from Hector Gomez. You can see here 10 minutes ago. Now, obviously, this is going to be, as the time of uploading, it's a little bit earlier in the morning on Tuesday. But this was in the middle of the night where Hector Gomez comes out and says, source, at the edge of midnight, the talks between the Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. were very active. Both sides seem to be in a position to reach an agreement. This Tuesday could be the long-awaited deadline day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is big. Now, again, we all waited past midnight. We waited past 1, past 2. Most people were gone to bed. And then this huge report drops from Hector Gomez. Now, as of the time of recording, this report just dropped. It's about, almost, it's well into the night. It is the middle of the night. But this report dropped, and I wanted to cover it for you all. And this is extremely interesting because as you start to think about now, a bunch of different things surrounding Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We also have a couple of reports from Keegan Matheson revealing some big details surrounding when he's going to make his decision today. And not only when he's going to make his decision today, but how it's going to go down. So we'll start with the Hector Gomez thing. The talks between the Blue Jays and Vladdy were very active at the edge of midnight. Both sides seem to be positioned to reach an agreement. This is absolutely huge. And there's been a lot of talk. Hector Gomez is fairly reliable when it comes to, obviously, Dominican players, but specifically for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's been the one saying that Jays fans are going to, be in good spirits and all these different things. For him to come out and put his reputation on the line saying that both sides seem to be in a position to reach an agreement is extremely positive. And it is the news that all us Jays fans desperately needed, right? We absolutely needed this news. And again, we're now hours away. It's obviously early Tuesday morning. We are hours away from when Vladdy is going to make his decision because a report from Keegan Matheson dropped saying we're expecting to hear, this is from last night, late last night he said, we're expecting to hear Vladdy at some point Tuesday morning or early afternoon at the Blue Jays complex. I still won't consider any clock to be fully at zero until we hear from Vladdy directly from earlier today in Dunedin. We're going to dive into the entire, of course, article here in a minute. But we know we're going to hear from Vladdy. It could be in, the next hour. It could be in a few hours. I would suspect a bit later this morning or early this afternoon as of the time of uploading. So there's going to be some sort of news. Obviously, we thought that yesterday was going to be the day. Once it hit midnight, we thought that was going to be when we heard. But this is the biggest decision, arguably, deadline-wise for contract in franchise history. This is going to define the next decade for this Toronto Blue Jays team. It is going to define butts and seats. It's going to define everything surrounding the fan base. And this is going to be announced most likely, I would assume, either by a guy like Hector Gomez or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. directly himself on Instagram before he comes into spring training camp. There's a lot of things to dive into from this article. And John Schneider came out and actually spoke about a bunch of different things here. And it really puts some interesting perspective into how this is going to affect not only the Jays in spring training, but the Jays this season and how much of a disaster it will be. Because if they don't sign him, we're now looking at a very awkward upcoming season. But he said, I'm just excited to see him tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it, the season with him. Hopefully this gets done. This is the business part of it. We're both hoping for the same outcome, I think. But first and foremost, I'm just excited to get him in around the guys tomorrow. And again, he said, I'm looking forward to this season with him, which is a little bit concerning. I'm just excited to see him tomorrow in camp. A little more concerning. Guerrero's locker sits still in the corner of the clubhouse waiting for him. Between he and Bichette's locker sits an empty one. A little extra space for two young stars the organization has built itself around for years. Bichette's half of the extra real estate is filled, but the other half still waits for Guerrero. It feels like this entire camp is on pause until Guerrero speaks on Tuesday. And ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, and we are now just hours away. It could be sooner than that, but I would presume hours away from the biggest decision in Ross Atkins front office history in the past decade, right? There's no doubt about it. What Vladimir Guerrero Jr. decides and what this front office, gives him is huge. Players and coaches have the fortune of being separated from the money, valuations, and negotiations themselves simply love Guerrero and want him to stay. Obviously, it's going to be a big deal for us as a player and a teammate, keeping him on this team for many, many years, said José Berríos earlier in camp. Also, Toronto Blue Jays fans love him. They want him on the team. We're just waiting. I know they had conversations. Hopefully, we can end the way we want this, keeping him on the team for many years. And Vladdy also said he's one of my best friends. We had a ton of conversations. We've talked about playing together forever since he was 18, I was 19. That's still a goal of ours. So as we're now waiting, last night, everybody stayed up. Things were getting crazy in the middle of the night. We now heard from Hector Gomez that at the edge of the night, players are talking and that things are picking up steam. This is hopefully, and if we're putting our eggs in the Hector Gomez basket, let's hope this is the one time he's 100% right, because it seems, and let's not forget, I believe Schneider went on Sportsnet and was also saying that, this was earlier last night. I believe he went on Sportsnet and said, the sides were talking. That's what the rumor was. Take it with a grain of salt, as you always do. But regarding this, we're in a spot now where it's completely nerve-wracking. We are in the end game surrounding this. We're going to find out today. He is going to walk into camp today. That is 100% confirmed. Now, whether he's walking into the camp with a Toronto Blue Jays uniform on, and saying that he got extended, or if he's walking in and the media is asking him, why didn't you guys come to an agreement? That's going to be the biggest decision in franchise history. And it's going to be, I guess in front office, Ross Atkins history. And it's going to be and play a huge factor into what this team, because if they don't extend him, the next season now is going to be awkward for the players. Every time he hits a home run, there's going to be a bittersweet feeling. Hey, he's making himself more expensive. Hey, not only is he making himself more expensive, he could walk after this year. So as good as he's being, unless you go out and win the World Series, how happy are we really going to be? However, if you extend him, every single home run is going to be exciting. Every single hit's going to be exciting. Now, and this offseason goes to an A- for Ross Atkins in the front office. You had to do it. Look at his projected stats. 32 homers, 100 RBIs, 890 OPS. I understand that he is a first baseman, but just get the deal done. You have no other choice. They're in advanced talks. This is the report we all needed to hear, and hopefully it comes to fruition in the next few hours, probably before. I would assume we're going to hear something from Shai Davidi or someone like that before he gets to the complex. I would assume, and this is my prediction now, of course, this is being uploaded early in the morning Tuesday. I would assume over the next hour or two, maybe 3 or 4, we'll hear from somebody surrounding Vladdy's future in Toronto before he goes into spring training. And then, of course, if he extends that extension, we'll hear before, and then he'll walk in and everything will be good. That's my prediction. We'll see if it comes to fruition. We know Hector Gomez said earlier yesterday night, the Blue Jays fans deserve it more than anyone. After Roki Sasaki, after Shohei Ohtani, we need a win. And we got it with Santander. If we get it with Vladdy, we can rest assured and just be excited about baseball next season. And one other thing, again, he said in the podcast, until I get to spring training, if I get to spring training, I'm going to free agency. And there's been some talks, obviously, Johnny of Gate 14 saying this might be a negotiation tactic. We're going to find out soon, ladies and gentlemen. And I sure hope that he is a Toronto Blue Jay. But ladies and gentlemen, your guys' support has been absolutely unbelievable. We're going to keep you up to date today. Multiple videos coming for you all today, whether or not he makes, signs an extension with the Jays. I hope it is with the Blue Jays. We all deserve it. It would define this season. We're about a month away from baseball. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest news. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.